Betamax, the better machine lost. It had the crisper image, the tougher cassettes, and the trust of the studios that cut their shows on it. And none of it saved it from the cheaper deck one shelf over. Sony launched it in 1975, a year before VHS, and beat its rival on almost every measure, winning over broadcasters and professionals alike. All but one. Those first cassettes held 60 minutes of footage. VHS held 120. Room for a whole film or a full match. And that one difference decided the contest. Here's the rule the rest of this runs on. Almost nothing here died because it was bad. It died because something merely good enough turned up and shoved it aside. Sony's factories were still stamping out these cassettes in 2016, long after the last player sold. Laserdisc. Same war, different casualty, and this one looked better than everything that beat it. Picture a silver platter the size of a vinyl record, playing films sharper than any living room had seen in 1978, with a depth that made ordinary tape look like a smear. It looks like a bloated DVD. Fair, since the DVD lifted the idea 20 years later. It stored video as analog waves carved into 12 inches of a plastic, and film obsessives adored it, swapping discs and arguing over transfers the way collectors argue over pressings. The problem was one missing button. You couldn't record. VHS let anyone capture whatever aired the night before, pausing the broadcast and keeping it for good. This played only the discs you'd already bought, every one expensive, and each side ran out halfway through a film, so you got up to flip it. It never won more than a sliver of American households. I've held one. It weighs about as much as a thick hardback, and the heft somehow makes the failure feel sadder. Zip drive. Now the one that died with a sound. Rewind to 1994, when a floppy disk maxed out at 1.44 megabytes, about one decent photo today. This swallowed roughly 100 of those on a single cartridge you could pocket, and for anyone hauling a big project between machines, it was the difference between bringing your work and leaving it behind. Iomega sold tens of millions, and for a few years, the bright blue cartridge sat on every serious desk as a small badge of getting things done. Then the drives began failing in the cruelest way. As one died, it would chew into the very disc you just fed it. Sometimes the single surviving copy of months of work. Feed in a fresh disc to rescue the data, and the dying drive would maim that one too. The nickname was Grim, the click of death, the exact sound it made. A clunk, a stutter, and the file was gone. Trust, once lost, never came back. Cheap CD burners arrived, USB sticks followed, and the thing you once guarded became junk in a drawer nobody opened again. MiniDisc. Sony watched all this and decided it could do storage right. In 1992, it very nearly did. The idea was a CD sealed in a hard cartridge, one you could record onto, drop mid-jog without a skip, and overwrite 1,000,000 times. The engineering was beautiful. The players were jewel-like little things that felt expensive in the palm, and across Japan, it sold well. So why isn't one in your pocket today? It ran on Sony's private compression format, A-Track, which quietly fenced you inside Sony's world and made moving music in or out a small ordeal. Keep that fence in mind. It's the point of what follows. Then the iPod arrived. 1,000 songs on one drive, no discs to carry, no cartridges to label and lose. Sony kept this alive until 2013, long after the contest was over. Quick one before we move on. How many of these did you actually own? Tell me below. And if watching old gadgets get a proper send-off is doing something for you, tap like. It keeps this channel going. Memory stick. That instinct to fence you in? Here it is in its purest form. By 1998, memory cards were just taking off, and Sony refused to touch anyone else's standard. It built its own and forced it into nearly everything it made. The PlayStation, its camcorders, its cameras, the PSP. Owning Sony gear meant buying these, only these, at whatever price Sony alone decided to set on the day. What Sony overlooked was everyone else. A plain little standard named SDE did the exact same job, and any manufacturer was free to make it. So SD got cheaper and roomier far faster than one company could ever manage alone, with dozens of factories all racing each other down in price. A 4 GB memory stick cost a fortune next to an SD card that held more for less. Eventually, Sony caved and put SD slots in its own machines. When a company finally adopts the thing it spent 15 years fighting, that isn't an upgrade. It's a quiet apology. UMD, Sony's third attempt. And this time the format rode in on a device people adored. Released in 2004, the PSP felt like magic. A handheld with the muscle of a home console, reading its games off little discs in rigid plastic shells, about 1.8 gigabytes each, sealed tight against scratches and grubby thumbs. As a games machine, it did its job, and for a stretch, it was the coolest thing in any teenager's pocket. The trouble started when someone decided those same discs should sell you movies too. That was the fracture point. A film on one of these played on a PSP and nowhere else. The disc drained the battery just by spinning. A load of plastic for a job streaming would soon do for nothing, and nobody wanted to pay twice for movies locked to one handheld they already owned on DVD. The studios abandoned it inside 2 years. Tie a format's whole life to one gadget, and the day that gadget stops being cool, every disc dies with it, all at once. HD DVD. Here's the defeat that unfolded in plain view and at brutal speed. High-def film reached living rooms around 2006, and 2 competing discs raced to bury the standard DVD. Toshiba's contender packed 15 gigabytes, with Universal in its corner, Microsoft pushing hard, and a real share of the studios betting on it. Stores stocked both, shoppers froze in the aisle, and for a while, picking the winner was a genuine 50-50. Then a single weekend ended the argument. In January 2008, Warner Brothers said it would release on Blu-ray, and nothing else. And the rest of the studios read the writing on the wall. The collapse came so fast that within a month, Toshiba pulled the format for good. Buy a player that winter, and you held a paperweight by spring. What's striking isn't the defeat. It's how completely it evaporated once the tide turned. That wrong bet is reckoned to have cost Toshiba nearly $1 billion. Intel Optane. The last one wasn't killed by a competitor at all. It was killed by confusion. Barely anyone grasped what it was for. It ran on a memory technology nobody had seen before, 3D X-Point, which Intel shipped in 2017. Filling a slot nothing ever had, nearly matching the speed of your computer's RAM, while keeping its contents after the power died, the way only a disk does. In theory, the dream, memory that doesn't forget, paired with storage that doesn't crawl. On the shelf, though, it was costly,